Good morning, everybody. This is Deanna with Food Bank Beautiful. It is Sunday, June 16th, and it is Father's Day. So to all the fathers out there who feel brave enough to come and watch this show, happy Father's Day to you. To all the women out there, be sure and wish the fathers in your life happy Father's Day, whether it's your own father, whether you have sons who have grown up and are now fathers, you've got friends who are Father's Day, just wish everybody happy Father's Day. Now, we are going to do a couple of things today. Maybe. Now that I got that pear butter out of the way. And by the way, Grandma loves my pear butter. And somewhere in this video, you'll see a clip. She went down for a nap, and Lucifina and Fluffy are sound asleep on the edge of her bed on their towels, which is exactly where they are allowed to be. Now, I'll have to go check them periodically. That could turn into a show, right? Wild chickens running through my house. They're not wild. They're hand-raised and domesticated, but my husband will not want to see them outside of Grandma's room. Now, I want to do something fun. You will remember last week we did about 6 recipes out of the Gifts Cookies in a Jar. And while I was straightening up some things, I realized I have another one called Gifts in a Jar, Bars and Brownies. Now, I love the brownie mix. I think it's from Sugar Spun Run, so I'm not going to mess with that. That is so delicious, and I have a couple jars of that, so we're not going to worry about that. But I did find a recipe that I think my husband will like, and if that's the case, we are going to make this for him. Now, I have everything for at least 1 jar. I'm thinking that I might have enough for 2, but it calls for an ingredient that I don't have. So let me read the ingredient list to you. Plus, I don't put it in the notes, people. I don't have that kind of time. So I'll try to go slow so you can jot it down when it's time to make this yourself. Chewy butterscotch nut bar mix. A half a cup of butterscotch chips, a half a cup of coarsely chopped pecans that are toasted and cooled completely, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of buttermilk biscuit baking mix, a half a cup of brown sugar, and another cup of buttermilk biscuit baking mix. It says, layer the ingredients in the order given into a wide mouth quart jar. Place each layer in place before adding the next ingredient. Attach a gift tag, la la la. Now, the wet ingredients for this are, so when you go to make these, it's 1 jar of chewy butterscotch nut bar mix, 3/4 cup of butter melted, 2 eggs slightly beaten, 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Just reading. Okay. So I don't know why they separate that buttermilk biscuit into 2 different cups. That's weird. And I don't know why they separate it. Okay, we don't know the answer to those questions, but we're going to rock and roll with it. And that is the ingredient that I do not have. I do not have buttermilk biscuit mix. I don't have... What is that brand? I don't have Jiffy. I don't have Bisquick. I don't have anything. So you know what we're going to do, people? We're going to make our own. And we're going to start with that. Then we're going to make the mix. And then we're going to actually bake a mix. And then we're going to sample. While those are baking, I am going to clean my kitchen. It is not too scary today. Not too bad. And then I am going to process those ever-loving onions, right? Shame on me. I hope that when I get to that crate, I am not embarrassed by the state of the onions, because actually I've had them 9 days. My life has just been crazy. And I have not been the best steward of those onions. And for those of you who follow me and like it when I am a good steward, the onions, hopefully they're going to be in good shape. So we're going to worry about that later. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make this buttermilk biscuit mix. And the ingredients for that is 2 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I am going to mix that up. I have an empty half-gallon jar, and I'm going to make a double batch, and then when I'm all done baking, I might add to it so that it's full and I have it in the future. And we're just going to get to it, people. We're going to have some fun today. We're not going to have any meltdowns. Well, I don't know if we're going to have any meltdowns or not. Let me read the directions so that if you're making this yourself, you have the directions. Preheat the oven to 350 in a large bowl. Cream the butter, eggs, and vanilla. Add the chewy butterscotch nut bar mix and stir into the mixture is well blended. Spread batter into a slightly greased or sprayed 8 by 8 inch pan. Bake for 30 to 35 minutes. Cool in pan. Cut into 2-inch squares. Well, there is another little snafu. I don't believe that I have a 8 by 8. I used to have, I'm going to look over here, guys. Sorry. I used to have some disposable 8 by 8s, and I don't think that I ever got them back. So we're going to use a round. Okay? We're just going to use a round pan. We'll cut it into wedges, and it'll be stinking cute. So let's start. I'm going to gather up all of the ingredients. I'm going to turn my oven on so I can toast those pecans. Actually, I'll do it on the top of the stove. It's easier for me to do it that way. And let's get this fun part up front. And then if you want, you can just exit the front and you don't have to watch the onions or whatever else I do today. I have a load in the wash machine. And I'm going to step away from the camera and check and make sure those chickens are on the foot of Grandma's bed. All right? All right. Exactly where I left them. 2 little black, fuzzy little balls right on the foot of Grandma's bed, taking a nap with her. Is that, I swear to you, not the most precious thing? It is. Okay, let me gather the ingredients for all of this, and I will come back to you, and we will have some fun, people, on my clean kitchen counter. Life is good.
Can I move?
Yes, you can move. Grandma, can I film you?
Oh, yes.
All right, so I went out to the coop today, and these two wanted to come in and see Grandma. That is, of course, Fluffy, where Grandma's hand is, and then Lucifina. Grandma's over there, all bundled.
Hi.
Now, she is tired and wants to take her morning nap, but these two just came in. They wanted to come in and see Grandma. They came to me. When they come to me, I know they want to come into the house. So I'm going to be in the kitchen, and I'm just going to leave these guys here, and I'll check them every 5 minutes for about the first 15 minutes, and if they settle down, they can stay and take their nap with Grandma. If not, I'll take them out to the coop. All right, sit. Sit. Now you just lay down. If you want to stay in the house and get away from those bully chickens, you got to be good.
Oh,
all right, I'll check them every little bit.
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either, but we'll see. Okay. Not a snafu. I do have enough brown sugar to make maybe 2 jars, but I feel like I want to make more because I'm going to make a jar for you guys here today. And then I know I want to send a jar with my cousin. And then I know that my husband, if he loves these, he'll want more. And I'm sure he's going to love it. He loves coconut and pecans. But I need to make some brown sugar. And you guys all know how to do this, right? I am going to add a couple cups. I'm going to make 4 cups of brown sugar. So let's go ahead and do that. And then I have it right where I want it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar to my mixer. 1 and 2. And then I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of molasses. I like my brown sugar dark, so I think it's 1 tablespoon per cup, but I don't care if we add a little bit more than that. So let's just eyeball it here, okay? Oh, it smells so good. Let's make some ginger snaps. We'll pretend it's October. All right, let's see if I can get that to hold right there. Okay, so about 4 tablespoons. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I was fortunate enough to get this bottle of molasses from the food bank a few weeks ago, which you almost never see, so I was quite happy to get that. Now we're going to add our other 2 cups of sugar. So there's 1, and that looks like we're going to call this the other one. Okay. Good enough. Oops, got more sugar in there. We'll use up this sugar that's on the bottom, and then I can add sugar to my container. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, let me mix that up a little bit. All right, and just like that, we have about 4 cups of brown sugar. So that is so handy. I don't remember where I first saw that trick. I think I was watching Acre Homestead with Becky some years ago, and she made her own brown sugar, and it blew my mind. It's like, what? And then one of you, I can't remember who, also told me I could do the same with powdered sugar, and I was able to do that when I made that carrot bread a week or 2 ago. So now I have 4 cups of brown sugar. I do see some little lumpies in there. They're tiny, so I'm not going to worry about it. There we go. Now I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and we're going to make our biscuit. All right, I just went and checked, and these 2 were getting a little bit antsy, so they are going to go back out to the coop. This, of course, is Lucifina. Lucifina might be a rooster, and this is Fluffy. Hi, Fluffy. And when I come back in, I will wash my hands very nicely, and we'll continue. All right. All right, hands are washed. Chickens are out in the coop doing fine. Grandma's napping. And we are now going to make this baking mix. So the baking mix recipe is 2 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I am going to quadruple that. So we're going to do 8 cups of flour. There's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. And now we're going to put in 4 tablespoons of sugar. Charging my phone, and that's where my recipe is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 tablespoons of baking powder. Let me bring it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to do 2 teaspoons of salt. One and 2. And let me go look at my recipe because they called it buttermilk biscuit, and I am going to use powdered buttermilk. So if it doesn't give me directions for that, I'm just going to do what I want to do because I'm that kind of girl. Okay, the recipe, when you make these, when you make that, it wants you to use real buttermilk. But I am going to put my buttermilk in my biscuit mix. And for 4 cups of buttermilk, you need 16 tablespoons. And I have plenty. So let's go ahead and do that. Please count with me because we never know what we're going to do. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, halfway there, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15, and 16, and we are done. Okay, let me mix all that up, and then I've got my buttermilk biscuit pre-mix made. So that will be fantastic. Let me kind of get some of my stuff squared away here. All right. I'll come back to you guys in a minute, okay? Okay, you can hear Patty out there. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and mix this in. Hopefully, I'm not going to make a terrific mess. You can see that my shirt is already a terrific mess. Okay, here we go. Okay, when you are dealing with molasses or honey or syrup or anything sticky, always take the time to get your jar clean. Your future self will appreciate not having to fight that lid. So you can see I've got some stickiness there. And then I'm just going to take this wet towel and go around the rim of the molasses. Now you can still see the, oh, no, maybe I can get it. All right, and then we'll dry it, make sure it's not sticky, and then we will put it back in our cupboard. Okay, just like that. That's how it's done. Okay, now my biscuit mix is done. So now I'm going to chop the pecans and toast them on the oven, and then I will come back and we will fill jars and make this cookie mix. Okay, and you can see here the pecans. I'll just do the last little chop, chop, chop. I'm going to toast those on my stove. All right, I will come back when those are toasted and we are ready to proceed. Okay, I have finished toasting the pecans. They smell so good. And now we're going to go ahead and fill our jars for the chewy butterscotch nut bar mix. Okay, so the first thing it says is the butterscotch chips, half a cup. We're going to make 2 jars because I realized there was another recipe that I wanted to make with coconut in it. So we're going to do 2 of these and 2 of the other one. It's basically all the same ingredients. Okay, so we have a cup of butterscotch chips, and I'm going to add half a cup. I'm going to keep you guys down here now. Half a cup here, and half a cup here. There we go. And then it's calling for 1/2 cup per jar of the pecans. So we have half a cup and half a cup. There we go. Now it's going to ask for 1/2 cup of the brown sugar. So, oh, my husband ordered me some measuring cups. They're coming. They're not here today. 1/2 cup. So, that's about 1/2 cup right there. And come on, get in there. And half a cup right there. And let me put this out of the way. Let me tamp this down because I don't know how this is all gonna, if it fits in smoothly or if it's one of those that take a little working. So we're gonna take that brown sugar and we're just gonna really, really, really tap that down. And this also calls for brown sugar on the top. Now, I don't know why they did it that way, but we'll just follow the directions this time and see if it makes any difference. Okay, now it's going to call for 1 cup of the biscuit mix that we made earlier. Let me grab that. Oh, that's heavy. Oh, I need 2 hands. Okay, here it is. Right there, you can see it. And let's take you back to the jars because that's where the fun is today. It's calling for 1 cup. There's 1. There's 1. And then it calls, maybe they just wanted a pretty jar. I'm not sure, but now I do another cup of brown sugar. That seems a little foo-foo to me. I make this again. I'm not going to do it that way. But maybe it makes for a prettier jar. Okay, so another half cup of brown sugar in each of those. Okay, give or take right there. Give or take right there. Let's tamp that down. There we go. And 1 more cup of buttermilk biscuit spread. So there's 1. And here's the other. Okay, let me get this out of the way a little bit. And just like that, we have 2 jars of chewy butterscotch nut bar mix. And that is what a jar looks like. So I believe for these 2 jars, I have regular lids. As you can see, I've made a complete mess of myself. And I think that I will take a piece of paper and just stick it inside the jar and make sure that I know what this is. I don't want to write on my lids because I use these all the time. Actually, I'll just tape it down. Okay. Let me do that so you can see what I've done. And we should... Okay, these are completed. 2 jars of chewy butterscotch. Why can't I say that? 2 jars of butterscotch nut bar mix right here. Now we're going to go ahead and make the other 2. I'll be right back. So this is the one that I actually thought I was going to make, and then I got a little bit confused and made the other one. That's okay. It's basically all the same ingredients. This is the one I want to make for you today. This is the butterscotch brownie mix. The ingredients are a half a cup of flaked coconut, 3/4 cup chopped pecans, 1 3/4 cup brown sugar, 2 cups of flour, a 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Now, I am going to make a little variation. It's calling for 3/4 cup of pecans. I'm only going to do a half a cup, and then I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of butterscotch chips. So I hope that doesn't mess you guys up. But that is it. Now, let me read you the directions in case you want to make it yourself. So when you make these, it's 1 jar of mix, 3/4 cup of softened butter, 2 eggs slightly beaten, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. You bake it at 375. You're going to cream the butter, eggs, and vanilla. Add the mix. Stir until the mixture is well blended. Spread batter into a lightly greased or sprayed 9 by 12 inch pan. Bake 25 to 30 minutes. Cool in pan and cut into 2-inch squares. Okay, let's get this done. This is going to be so easy. So it's calling for a 1/2 cup of flaked coconut. Let's get that. Let's bring you down here. And I will find you. Let me put this over here. All right, where are you? Can you see right there? Okay, 1/2 cup of flaked coconut. All right, so I have 1 cup here, and I'll just put half in here and half in here. And then I will take my remaining pecans there we go. And I will add half into each jar. There's half, there's half, and then I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of these butterscotch chips into each jar. And you can see my cup is only half full. So we're just going to do a half and a half. There we go. Okay, now it's going to call for 1 3/4 cup of brown sugar and 2 cups of flour. I hope I have enough brown sugar. 1 3/4 cup. Well, it's going to get what I can get. So there's 1. Oh, I made brown sugar and I'm still going to be out of brown sugar. There's 1. And I think this is just going to be a cup. So we're going to be about a 1/2 cup short in the brown sugar. And you know what? I can live with that. Now you guys follow the recipe. I am just improvising here because that's what I need to do today. All right, and I am going to add, let's see, 1/4 cup of white sugar because I am short on that brown sugar. Okay. Okay, let me go get that little bit of sugar. Just going to add about 1/4 cup. There we go. That should do it. Okay, and then it's going to call for 2 cups of flour. All right, 2 cups of flour. One. And 1. And I'm going to tamp that down before I try to do the other cup. That looks pretty good. Let's do this one. Whoa, spilling everything. And I'm going to go ahead and add my baking powder before I add the flour. So 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So I think I can just do that. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I think I already put my baking powder away. Yep. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. Yep. Okay. There's 1 and 1/2 and 1 and 1/2. And now we're going to get that 2nd cup of flour in there. Okay, 1 more cup of flour and we're done. There's 1. Got more flour I have to fit in there. I don't know how that's going to work. This one takes some work. Okay, let's see how much I can get in there now. Not very much. Okay, I'm going to press these down. You guys get the idea. I'll fill these and then I will come back to you when my jars are full. Okay, I'm going to get it in. Okay, so life is too short to fight with your jar. And I'm going to demonstrate what I did, but here is my jar of butterscotch brownie mix. Let me show you what I had to do. So, got a little, look at the shirt, you guys. Who cares? Okay, I'm going to bring you down. I took my jar that was fighting me, and I just dumped it out. Dumped it out like so. Added my second cup of flour. Okay. Right there. Mixed it all together with my hands. Got it all nice and mixed. Now, granted, it is not as pretty, but we're okay with that. At least I'm okay with that. If you guys have the patience to fight that second cup of flour, you go right ahead. I do not. Okay. There we go. Then I just did 1 cup at a time. Can you guys still see me? I guess I'll go right here. Okay. 1 cup at a time, give or take. And we just go ahead and tamp that down. Add another cup. And tap that down. Next cup. Tap that down, and the last of it. And there we have it. So if you're making any of these recipes and you find a jar a little bit too challenging for your, current patience level, dump it all out, mix it all up, put it in 1 cup at a time and tap it down. Chances are it'll be much smoother for you. Wow. Scary. Okay, so I'm going to label these. And then I'm going to clean up my mess on the counter, and we are going to actually make this butterscotch brownie mix. This is the one I wanted to make for my husband today because it's got the coconut in it. So I'll come back to you when I have a clean work surface. I'm going to set my timer or my temperature on the oven, and let's go ahead and make this up, and then we'll sample it later and see what we think. Okay. We got our baking mix into a 1/2 gallon jar. If you decide to do this, the recipe is at melissanorris.com, and actually it's melissaknorris.com. And the ingredients when you want to mix this is 1 jar of biscuit mix. And so when you make that recipe, 2 cups flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt. It'll fill a pint jar. I made 4 times that. You are going to take 1 pint jar, add 1/2 cup of cold butter cubed and 1 cup buttermilk. Preheat your oven to 450, and then you can make your biscuits just like you normally do. It says it bakes for about 15 minutes. Okay? If you need the full recipe, melissaknorris.com. All right, let me get my mess cleaned up, and then we're going to mix up those butterscotch brownies. Okay, there's the lid. Buttermilk Biscuit Mix, melissaknorris.com, because I myself will forget where I found it. Okay, now I'm going to clean this up and then we're going to bake those. Okay, let's go ahead and make these bad boys. I have my bowl that had the, buttermilk biscuit mix in it. I'm not going to bother washing it. We're okay. We're going to add our jar of butterscotch brownie mix. We're just going to dump it right here into the bowl, just like that. And it's packed in there, so you might need to just take your finger and make sure you can get it all out. There we go. And then we're going to add 3/4 cup of softened butter. Here's about 1/4. I'm going to use that. And then I have a 1/2 cup that I softened in my microwave. And it says 2 slightly beaten eggs. I'm going to just throw those in whole. And some vanilla. And actually it wanted me to cream the butter, eggs, and vanilla first, but I didn't read that far in advance. This will be okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and mix this up, and then I will come back to you and show you the batter. All right, here is my batter. It mixed up perfectly fine. Everything's good. I have parchment papered my pan, and now I'm going to go ahead and spread this into the pan and bake it. Okay, I want you to see this. I want my squares to be a little bit thicker than a 9 by 12. And so I took my 9 by 13 pan and I put in a rolled up piece of foil, and then I just brought that over, and I'm going to bake it like that. And I think that it will just be perfectly fine. We'll find out. Okay, we already have a little bit of a mess going here, so let's go ahead and bake that second cookie. This is the first one that we made this morning, the mix for the chewy butterscotch nut bar mix. And basically, it's very similar to the other one, only there's no coconut, and it's asking you in your wet ingredients to melt the butter. So in this bowl, I have 2 eggs. I have some vanilla, certainly more than a teaspoon. And to that, I'm going to add 3/4 cup of melted butter. It says to kind of blend that up and then add your dry mix. I don't know if there's any blending that up, but we'll see. Let's come down and see what that does. Okay, you guys know that I am not a fussy girl. If it were just me, I'd have dumped it all in just like we did the first time. Okay, let's go ahead and add this jar. And again, you need to just kind of help it come out of the jar because we packed in that brown sugar at the bottom. Whoops, you guys aren't even with me. Here we go. Well, okay. Get all that goodness. And let's go ahead and mix that up. The only difference I can see between the two batters is this is a much softer batter because the butter is melted. That is delicious. Let me go ahead and get a pan ready. Okay, the directions say preheat oven to 350. Cream the butter, eggs, vanilla, add the butterscotch bar mix, stir until the mixture is well blended. Spread batter into a lightly greased or sprayed 8 by 8 inch square pan. I don't have one of those. We're using this round one right here. And bake for 30 to 35 minutes. All right, let's see what we think. Oh, you guys can't see. I'm going to use my fingers. Okay, so this is going to bake for 30 minutes. All right, so I have my timer on my phone for the first batch. My timer's on the phone for the first batch, and I'm going to set the microwave timer for this one, and I'm going to pop it in the oven, and I'll see you when we're all done baking. Okay, I got my kitchen straight, so everything looks pretty good. Some hand wash dishes there. There are just 2 or 3 things I found in the living room in that sink right there. This has been cleaned off. Here are my onions. Those are my next project today. I'm going to see if Addie will cut us a watermelon first before I cut the onions. I think that would be better. And then this is the first cookie, the butterscotch brownie mix that I pulled out of the oven. The other one is taking a little bit longer to bake, and so I'll be checking it in about 5 minutes. I don't know if you'll be able to see the whole thing, but we'll start right here. Lovey, do you want to try one of these?
No, I got it.
You got a what?
I got to eat.
He has to eat, people. He has to eat. All right, let me try it for you. I don't know that I want a whole one. Grandma will want a whole one. Okay, these are the butterscotch brownie. These are the second jars that we made. Those are so good. When you have those on your shelf, you will be able to make something up in 35 minutes, including bake time, and be perfectly fine. Those are lovely. I'm going to take one to Grandma. Okay, you will still hear some collateral noise because my dishwasher is running. My kitchen is still clean. My husband did taste the bars and decided that they were very good and he liked them. Do you remember earlier when we first started today's adventures, I said, you know, we're going to have a day without a meltdown. We're not going to have any snafus. Well, I might have lied. Let me move my pretty cookies out of the way. And let me show you what happens when I do not use parchment paper. Now, I almost always do, and I'm not sure why I didn't today. I guess because the directions said, you know, lightly spray, and I had some cooking spray, and I just thought it would all be fine. Shall we just look? All right, let's just look. Yes, indeed. Wow. In my personal opinion, this second one, this is the first jar that we made. I like the taste of this better than that one that came out pretty. Really rich. Brown sugar tastes good. The butter's good. Everything's good in this cookie. But it did not come out of the pan nicely. And I think that is partially my fault because the edges kind of baked onto the pan, number one. Number two, I did not have any parchment paper. And number three, I did not have the right size pan. And so this kind of turned into a big, ugly mess. Now, there is nothing for me to do to salvage here. I'm going to scoop it. Actually, I'm going to take this big knife right here. And I'm going to cut it into chunks. And then I'm going to take it out to my birds, and they are going to love it. And in return, they will give me some gorgeous eggs. Now, I do feel a little bit sad about this one not coming out as nicely. And there's just no way for me to salvage that beast. But you know what? Life goes on. Life is messy. And I always try to show you the wins. Of course, the wins. The wins are great. But I also show you the fails. And this coming out of the pan, it was a fail. And it just didn't even come out nice enough for me to try to cut up into pieces or do anything with. So we're going to go feed it to my birds. Yes, we are. Then I'm going to come back. I think my husband's going to cut a watermelon for me. And then I need to take care of those stinking onions. They are not going to do themselves. All right. I think my camera died when I was throwing stuff for him, but there's those two white chickens are Bridgie Butterball Jones Fatty Panties and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. That big gray one you might remember, that's Hannibal. That other gray one right there is Precious. You know Nefertiti, the brown and white one. Oh, there's Helen. Helen is the top chicken in this yard. She takes no prisoners and eats the wounded. I don't see my little chickens. They must be inside the coop. Hello, hello. You guys get ruined cookies. You guys are getting ruined cookies. Yeah. I threw a bunch of this on the ground, so they're all sort of just eating where I threw things. There's Nefertiti. Hi, Nefertiti. Hi, Chicklet. Hi, Chicklet. Come up here and see me, you big girl. There's Chicklet. Yeah, she's probably she's the nicest. All right, well, I'm going to throw the rest of this on the ground and let them just snack on it for the day. It's been raining for 3 days, but my coop is not too muddy. Let me turn it this way. But my coop is not too muddy. Just over by the door where I come in is where I have to be really careful. Wow. Wow. Red. That's Red. She's my scrappiest looking chicken. She's not a thing of beauty by any means. There's Big Boy. Isn't he a gorgeous rooster? Okay. Again, residual noise. Dishwasher is still running. Cookie mess is cleaned up. You probably saw that I ran that out and fed the chickens. And now we have to deal with these onions. The time has come. All right. Let's start this bad boy. Let me see what I've got for onion scraps in my freezer. Okay, I've got a half a bag, so I'm not going to keep all of my onion scraps, but I am going to fill up a baggie. And let's get this taken care of. And I think I'm only going to do 5 of these at a time and then give my eyes a little bit of a break because these are pretty pungent today. Ooh, very pungent. I'm only on my first onion and my eyes are burning. I want to use those. Ooh. Wow. So gonna... Grandma, are you okay? Ooh. Wow, that is burning my eyes on one onion. This is going to be a nightmare. All right, it is about 4:15 or so in the afternoon on Sunday, of course, and you've been with me this morning, but I did finally finish a project. I did get to the bottom of all of those onions. Now, I lost count on how many onions there were, but I do have 19 bags of onions in front of me, and there are anywhere between 3, 3.5, and 4 cups per bag. So let's see, if there's 4 times 19, that's about 80. So somewhere between 65 and 80 cups of onions is what I have. And I am going to go ahead and double bag these, and then I'm going to put them in my freezer. And we are done. Let's take a look, seriously. Now, my husband helped me chop these onions. And I would say that he did more than half of them. I did the first 5 and my eyes were just crying and whining and fussing, and then, you know, blindness set in. And then once blindness set in on both of us, we didn't care. We just chopped the onions. So we got that done finally, and the onions were in excellent shape. I know earlier I told you I was a little bit worried if I was a good steward of these onions or not, but I am quite satisfied that they were in good shape and all is well. Let me show you one other thing we got done today. I have 2 containers of watermelon that my husband cut up for me, for Grandma. I don't like watermelon, so I don't eat it. But we have 1 more watermelon, but I have 2 containers like this in my refrigerator. And I'm about, as soon as I take care of these onions, I'm going to go take Grandma a pretty good bowl of watermelon. She's in there coloring like a storm. It's amazing what she's doing. She did some really beautiful artwork. And that is it, my friends. I believe this is all I have for you today. I believe this video will be long enough. And I will catch you hopefully sometime this week. Just a reminder, I will not be going to any food bank on Tuesday or Wednesday. All right, I'm trying to work through what I already have, what I've already preserved, and I'll probably go to the well on Friday and then the mini distribution on Friday, even though I skipped the mini distribution this Friday. I was loaded. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great week. Bye-bye.